Hey everybody, Corey here coming at you with another knife review. Today we are taking a look at the Peña X Series Barlow. If you're new around here, consider subscribing. I try to put out knife-related content, on a semi-regular basis. For those of you who don't know, the X Series designation by Peña signifies that this is part of his production line. Enrique Peña is primarily known for his custom work. However, he does make these X Series knives, or rather, he has Rayot make these X Series knives. And because Rayot makes them, they're basically perfect. I think I've talked about that before. Let's move on to the size comparisons real quick. I promise these are actually stacked side by side. The camera perspective makes it look like the bottom knife is a little bit more to the left, to the left. Anyhow, as you can see, it's coming in a little bit smaller than the Ontario knives Rat number 2. So this is a relatively small knife. I'm guessing you knew that since, you're investigating the knife. You probably looked at the specs and you know what you're dealing with here. But for removal of doubt, here it is next to the Spyderco PM2. Stack those up. And as you can see, this thing basically fits inside of the PM2, right? So it truly is a relatively small knife. Let's just move into the fit and finish right now. I already said it was made by Rayot. I have pretty much no issue with anything on this knife, except for one thing, and I'll just say it right now. I'll say it off the top. The action, or rather, using the action. So there you go, right? Over the top with the thumb. And you might find that interesting. It might not be the first way that you think about opening a knife. You ever had a Zippo lighter, or even those cheap plastic ones from the gas station where you roll your thumb over the top to kind of ignite them? You pretty much have to do that with this knife. I could just be a fool. I'd like to believe I'm not. I've handled hundreds of knives at this point. Using the top flipper with your index finger, I'm not an expert when it comes to pivot geometry and leverage and things like that with the flipper tabs, but I can tell you it hurts. It hurts. It is uncomfortable. It's chewing up my finger after 2 flips. You really have to commit. You really have to dig your finger in there and push down and pull back. I actually I handed this to a guy at a knife store, and he physically couldn't open it with his index finger. Now, again, granted, I've handled quite a few knives at this point, but there's no comparison. And don't get it twisted, right? With how hard it is to use your index finger, the thumb over the top, it's like butter. It's absolutely like butter, right? But anyhow, aside from that, again, in terms of fit and finish, the little things. I won't call out all this stuff, right? There's no blade play. There's no lock rock. It's perfectly centered, right? The screws are just, they're nice and flush down there, except for the pivot, but they weren't trying to make that nice and flush. It's the little things. It's the little things for me when it comes to like Rayot and a knife at this price point, which, by the way, Damasteel version, $400. I believe the non-Damasteel version is like 200, 250. I mean, it's up there a little bit for your average person, I would say. But, $400 or 250, whatever you're paying for it. Oh, the Rayot build quality. I literally, if my eyes were closed, I wouldn't know there was a transition between 2 materials here. I mean, it's that good. It's so good. The Rayot build quality, I absolutely love it. Let's move on and talk about usability a little bit. Now, believe it or not, Damasteel, I do actually use this thing. Ooh, that's a great view. Look at those scratches. And look at that tape gunk on there. I think this side is a little bit more gnarly. So proof that I've actually used this enough to talk about it. Look at all those scratches. Ooh, and up by the tip. That's fantastic. So yeah, this is a keeper. I mean, obviously, I got it customized by way of knife. You're not going to get brown and gold straight from a retailer. But I have actually used this knife, so I can kind of speak to it. So what will I say? Well, interestingly enough, I would prefer a little bit thinner than the blade stock that's here. This is 13 thousandths. However, I will tell you, I mean, how did it get used? This thing is my cardboard warrior. I basically religiously use this to take apart all my Amazon packages every week. And even though it's 13 thousandths thick stock, they ground it really well. The geometry is really nice. It is a slicer. I love it. It's great for push cuts. It's great for just regular slicing. It's great for those tips when you just barely want to get into the package. It's really usable. And honestly, even though it's small, Okay, the grip is very neutral, right? I mean, look at it, okay? It's basically a stick. This knife is a stick with a blade on it, right? Now, granted, this is part of the design, right? It's a modern take on a traditional design. Fine. But what that means is this grip it's not going to offend anybody, but it's also not going to blow anybody out of the water. That being said, you know, they've done their job, right? They've got their nice chamfered edges over here, so you don't have any hot spots on the edges kind of digging into your fingers. But also, the tang of the blade is nice and flat, and it kind of protrudes from the scales themselves. It actually does give you a great place. It's like an extension of the scales to an extent, and if I want to choke all the way up there, if I had a sixth finger, I could fit it on this knife. Now, nobody's going to have a sixth finger, or they shouldn't. That's just my way of telling you, hey, even if you've got bigger hands, don't underestimate this knife. You can actually get some decent use out of this knife, and I've just been thoroughly impressed. I'm thoroughly impressed with the build quality. This might be, my God, it is outrageously smooth. I may go so far as to say it's actually like a 10 out of 10 in terms of smoothness. It doesn't get hung up on anything all the way down. It is outrageously smooth. So I will say that. Now, it doesn't drop shut, right? If I don't depress the lock bar, you know, it needs some shaking. It's got a little bit of lock bar tension there, but, you know, I'm just saying that if you're the kind of person who likes to fidget with your knives. If you depress the lock bar, boom, there it goes. And then you can just drop it like that, or you can just be a normal human and close it like this, like most people do. So let's move on to my final thoughts on this, because I don't think a whole lot needs to be said about this beyond what I've already said. So what are we dealing with here? It's a great knife in a great format by a great designer, produced by a great OEM. It's really hard not to recommend this. It definitely falls in the bucket of, if you like this design, if it's calling to you, I can tell you, you're just not going to be disappointed. There's nothing on this knife that disappoints me, to be quite honest. I mean, I guess I could, again, complain about the top flipper, and you basically have to use your thumb for it to be comfortable. Some people might disagree with that. But yeah, overall, fit and finish and design, you know, if this is your thing, you're going to absolutely enjoy it. You're not going to feel like you lost your money. Why did I actually end up with this one? I'll tell you. Knife Joy, keep an eye out. I don't know if they'll ever do it again. I don't know why they did it to begin with. The Damasteel ones, they usually go for $400. Knife Joy one day just decided that they were going to sell them 50% off. Yes, 50% off. So I got the Damasteel one for $200. That's also why I kind of don't feel too bad about beating up on it. But little bonus tip, not necessarily unique to this knife, but I'll give you a little bit of confidence if you're thinking about buying another knife in Damasteel. If I didn't tell you that I beat the crap out of this thing, would you have been able to tell? And I mean, okay, beat the crap out of it is, I'll admit, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but look at that blade. If that blade was the satin version, you would see all those scratches. You have no idea that those scratches are there until I bring this thing all the way up to the camera and I start catching them perfectly in the light. This is something that actually, it turned me on to Damasteel. This was my first true Damasteel brand knife. And it turned me on to Damasteel. I'm kind of into customs now, and anytime I can, I am now getting Damasteel, specifically because of this. Because it gives me the confidence to actually use the darn thing and not worry about ruining the finish on the blade. And, you know, some of you, if you're a more traditional knife guy, you might say, oh, shut up, sissy, just use your knife. That's fine. But for those of us who care about keeping our blades in pristine condition, you know, this isn't in pristine condition. But for all intents and purposes, you can't tell until I tell you or I shove it in your face and I point out, you know, the scratches to you. So I'll just say that's a weird bonus to Damasteel that I wasn't expecting. I was afraid that Damasteel was so fancy that I would never use it. And now, on the contrary, my Damasteel knives are the ones that I like using the most, because you just can't tell when the blade gets beat up. So, all right, I'll leave it at that, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gives you some confidence if you're considering buying one of these or just looking for traditional knives in general. The Barlow, it's got all kinds of different blade shapes. Peña makes other traditional-looking knives. You can go find the other Peña X-Series models like that. I'll leave it at that. I've handled the other Peñas They are fantastic. The build quality is pretty much straightforward and similar across all the Rayot made knives. Buy with confidence. If you like what you see, go get it. I'm confident that you won't be upset. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you all next time.